Harper Audio presents Sharing You by Molly McAdams. Performed by Emily Durante and Sean Crisden. For the listeners, this is our story. It's one many won't understand or accept, and some may even be offended by it. But this is the reality of our fight for each other and our struggle to be together. In a perfect world, you have a soulmate. You'll search until you finally find each other, and you'll begin this perfect journey you've been planning out for years. As for us, well, there was nothing perfect about the way we had to do things. Our connection was instant, and there was no doubting the pull we had for each other. But with everything in our lives forcing us to stay apart, our relationship was full of secrets, pain, guilt, sorrow, and the most beautiful love either of us has ever known. And we wouldn't have had it any other way. Prologue. Kamryn. September 2, 2014. The sound of 3 familiar masculine laughs stopped my retreat to my room, and I quietly tiptoed back toward the study. What are Charles and his dad doing here? I peeked through the door they had left cracked and was thankful for the darkened hallway. I knew from experience they wouldn't see me unless they were actively searching, and since all of them were huddled around a far table with drinks in their hands, I figured I was fine. I pulled my cell out of my pocket and glanced at the time before dimming the screen again. Charles wasn't supposed to pick me up for another 4 hours, and we'd just had brunch with his family. Couldn't he go away for a while? Charles. Good God, what had he even changed into? He had brown loafers, no socks, khaki shorts, and a dark pink polo on. And yeah, the collar was popped. His dark blonde hair had that I just got out of bed look, but I'd had the unfortunate pleasure of watching him spend 25 minutes to make it look that way that morning, so it had lost its appeal. I'd been dating Charles York since our junior year of high school, and it was safe to say that over the last 6 years, I'd really come to loathe him. His clothes, his too perfect, bleached smile, his fake tan, his laugh that had to be louder than everyone else's in the room, the fact that he was the 3rd Charles York, his signature silver BMW he upgraded for the newer version every 2 years like it was a cell phone or something. And this was probably the worst part of all. He was so close with my dad that he was having drinks with him on his own time. I'm sure most girls dreamed of a man their parents would absolutely adore, but my parents hadn't exactly given me a choice when it came to Charles. I had to date him. It was a match made in Kentucky Derby heaven, as my mother liked to say. And no, I'm not joking. Both our families were from the Brighton Country Club neighborhood in Lexington, and every year for the last 15 years, either Charles's family or my family has had a horse win the Kentucky Derby. Our parents were always talking about combining our stables, and I was beginning to think I'd already been sold off to the York family to make this happen. Why not just break up with him and tell my parents to shove it? Yeah, not so easy in my family. I was a Cunningham. In the racing world, we were pretty much royalty. My parents were Bruce and Charlotte, and as the only daughter of the perfect power couple, I was expected to be perfect as well. Perfect hair, perfect clothes, and a perfectly planned life. That perfectly planned life included marrying Charles someday. And breaking up with Charles didn't just mean ruining the plans both our families had for us. It would be devastating to the racing world. Mom's words, not mine. She's a little dramatic. It hadn't always been awful with him. We'd grown up together. I'd crushed on him for as long as I could remember before we actually started dating, and we'd been friends our entire lives. When I say entire, I mean I'm praying I burned all the evidence of our moms bathing us together when we were babies. Charles had always been funny, incredibly smart and attractive, probably too attractive for his own good because, unfortunately, he knew how good he looked. It wasn't until after we began dating that he started turning into the guy I couldn't stand to be around. Or maybe it was just that I began realizing how much I hated the world I'd grown up in. That world was full of people with too much money, a place where unfaithful and backstabbing relationships were the norm.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?